From Ask Dr. Heather here in my home office, and super excited to be here with you. I know we've been talking and teasing you about hair loss. I've been preparing this. I already have one video on hair loss, but this is going to be part one of part two because I'm going to have Lori join me here in a little bit, not tonight, but next week. We've been trying to coordinate our schedules here, but just want to talk about hair loss. I think we could take probably the next month and we could probably do 30 days. I just filled my electrolytes, 30 days of hair loss, and we could probably do one day and talk about each and every topic. So if you're brand new to Ask Dr. Heather, drop a number 1. If you're watching this on replay, put a number 2. If you're joining me in our 31 Days of Kindness campaign, we know that World Kindness Day is November 14th. So October 13th, 14th, we started counting backwards and doing a random act of kindness each and every day. If you're joining me, put some stars down below. Again, let me know where you're joining from. Angela, nice to have you here at Ask Dr. Heather. I actually started this page about 9 years ago because I had patients always ask me random questions. They'd come in for hormones or for headaches, and then I'd share like an autoimmune kind of recipe with them, like, oh my gosh, how do you make that flax cake? Or what was that you said? You talk way too fast. So I started Ask Dr. Heather because I would get a lot of questions from patients, either about a family member or about themselves. So I said, let's do this. Let's do Ask Dr. Heather, but it is at the Keto Doc because even 20 years ago, we were talking about ketones, a low-carb diet, the zone diet. We were teaching this in our clinic well over 2 decades ago before it even got super popular, before there were hashtags, before there was Facebook, before there was Snapchat, before there's Instagram. So I love this topic. Somebody else said, why are you always talking about keto? Because 99% of the questions I get actually happen to surround the ketogenic lifestyle because so many people are jumping on board because they hear these amazing transformations, amazing experiences that people are getting. So nice to see you, Amber from Washington. So let's just talk very simply about hair loss. Why are people experiencing hair loss when they're actually starting a ketogenic lifestyle? Well, let's talk about number 1. Why are you actually starting a ketogenic diet? Does it have to do with brain fog? Does it have to do with better mental clarity? Does it have to do with diabetes? You're trying to balance out your blood sugar? Is it cravings? Are you not sleeping? Is it about fat loss? So first determine why you're actually trying to join this ketogenic lifestyle. And let's just talk about hairs. The average person has about 100,000 to 150,000 hair follicles in their head. You lose about 100 hairs every single day. So if they're longer, it's going to look like a lot more in your sink than someone else who maybe has very short or very fine hair. 90% of our hair growth happens all the time. So at any one time, about 90% of our hair is actually growing in a certain cycle all at one time. Summertime, your hair actually grows more because sunlight, the vitamin D, the wind, the turgor, you're brushing your hair probably more in the summertime, especially if you're swimming or you're getting out and running and doing things, riding bicycles, running outside. Your hair gets more resistance, male or female. You're going to have more hair growth in the summertime. You're going to shed more, just like the leaves shed more. We know in the acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, shedding is also happening during the winter time, just like the leaves. Your hair also sheds. We're inside more. We're not outside. Less vitamin D. Your body's going to shed that more. But the number one reason, I'm not going to count backwards, the number one reason people lose hair is stress. So I do believe the reason this topic keeps coming up is because we know what has happened since March, but since this world pandemic. We know that the incidence of anxiety, depression, suicide, hormonal imbalance, we call it the pandemic 15, the pandemic 20, the quarantine 25. People are gaining weight. People are getting their health is out of balance. They're experiencing so much stress. People are losing jobs, or now they're homeschooling. They don't know what their kids are doing, how they're learning, what style they're learning, trying to figure out all this technology. Again, I think each one of us, if you have a challenge that's happened since COVID has hit, maybe you're a mom, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, write it down below because I know I haven't mentioned all the stresses that have happened. Maybe working from home now and now your spouse is home with you. Put it down below because stress is the number one reason, even pre-COVID, the reason that people lose hair. Number 1, if you go on a ketogenic diet, and I've been on a ketogenic diet even before, again, all this stuff was super popular, it can be very isolating, especially if you're addicted to sugar. You want to go out with your friends, but can you trust yourself? Maybe you're super type A and you're worried about your macros. Is that one almond going to put me over the edge? How much butter did that chef actually put, or how much olive oil did this chef actually put in my salad? That can be very isolated. Or maybe you're worried that any one smell of something, one piece of bacon, bacon is going to lead to 5 pieces of bacon. That's going to put you over your macros. So there can be so many reasons that you can have stress even following a true ketogenic diet, or maybe it's a mental, emotional stress happening financially or in relationships or job related. All those things can actually happen and cause hair loss. Why? Because your body really cares about conserving things that are in your brain and in your trunk. So it cares about your heart, it cares about your lungs, it cares about your kidneys, it cares about your intestines. Your body says, if I have to preserve something when there's a crisis mode going on, I'm going to preserve your heart and your brain and your lungs. I'm not really going to care about your fingernails and your hair. So be it, let's let those things go away. I'm going to put all the energy that I have into preserving those things, like blood pressure, like those type of things, those heart and other things, your eyes, those very, very important things. And Janet, thanks for tagging a friend. Please tag your friends. This is always meant to be educational. So number 1 is going to be stress. Number 2, dietary changes. Sometimes people go on a low carb diet, or they go on a vegan or vegetarian diet. So they do any type of lifestyle switch. Let's not make it keto. Any lifestyle switch, and they start overeating one type of thing. And this happens all the time. People are like, oh, I'm going to go keto. I can have all the dairy in the world that I want. What happens if dairy happens to be an allergy or sensitivity for you, and now you've thrown your whole gut pH out of balance? You're eating a lot of fermented foods like cottage cheese and yogurt and lots of different cheeses, and those are all fermented food. We have a normal amount of candida in our gut. I'm getting a lot of candida questions as well. So now we've actually thrown our gut out of balance. We now have a candida albicans infection, and now we're not going to actually absorb the proteins that we're breaking down. Or maybe you're eating a lot of nuts and seeds and you have some allergy or sensitivity to nuts and seeds, and now you're not absorbing those. Or maybe you're actually going in the Atkins 1980s way of doing a different lifestyle, and now you're actually over proteining it. Every time you eat protein, you use insulin, which means you're going to rise your blood sugar. That is my lovely adopted German Shepherd saying hello to the neighbors coming home and walking their dogs. So sorry about that. But we do know that also people go on a new lifestyle and they go back in the 1980s theory where they have bacon and eggs, or just maybe eggs and spinach for breakfast, and they have hamburger and green beans, and they have chicken and broccoli for dinner. They don't rotate the proteins, or if you're not rotating your proteins, you're not going to get the different amino acids. Different amino acids actually break down and make hair follicles and make fingers and hair and things like that we all like to be luscious and nice and full. So if you're not rotating your proteins and not rotating your greens and stuff, that will also cause hair loss. Any lifestyle switch that you're doing it, whether you go vegan or vegetarian, you could be missing those essential proteins that you need. Or maybe again, eating hidden food allergies can also do that. So number 3, calorie restriction. Not knowing what to eat oftentimes on a new lifestyle. You can be restricting your calories too much. Your body does that conservation mode thing again and says, gosh, I don't need to make hair. That's kind of just optional, right? Babies come into this world with very little hair. They come in very healthy, almost in a perfect state, in that state of ketosis with very little hair on your head. I don't know about you, but I didn't have hair till I was about 1 year old. My mom was always putting those cellophane bows in my hair. Well, my sister came out with a full head of hair. So if you had a full head of hair, write that down, because that's not very common, but I know some babies do. But just think about that. We also see that in third world countries, people who can be malnutrition, but they eat in hunter-gatherer style. They generally have a full head of hair. They have armpit hair. They have leg hair, male or female. So we see that more in our culture here in the States, or more in the European or in the United States and North America, that we're cyclic dieting, we're maybe fasting too much, or cutting our calories too quickly, too fast, and then again, our body doesn't have the chance to actually do that. Or we're eating too much processed food. Like, I'm going to go on that. We're just going to pick keto because those are the questions. I'm going to go on this keto diet. I'm going to get the keto fat bombs, the keto protein bars, the keto shakes. And you look at that and they have a whole bunch of lists of ingredients in there that aren't really digestible. They're not proteins your body can make hair out of. The collagen isn't real true collagen. You're not boiling chicken feet. You're not boiling ham hocks, or you're not getting like oxtail bones. That's how you make really good collagen. I've got a couple YouTube videos where we're actually making it out of chicken feet and out of oxtail bones. We get our local butcher or local grocery store. Very simply to do. And yes, you can buy good collagen. I actually got some bone broth here that has some collagen in it because I am about 20 20 hours, 24 hours into, actually 23 hours into my fast, where I'm drinking, I've got my electrolytes here and water, I've got my bone broth there, make sure I'm getting all my nutrients in here. So number 3, dietary changes, not eating enough. You'll also get signs of that where if your hair start to turn gray, because zinc is super important, but if you have not enough zinc, it can affect your hormones, it can cause your hair to turn prematurely gray, you can get little white dashes in your nails can be brittle. That's not consuming enough of your nutrients overall, or again, doing like a carnivore diet and having too much protein, but not eating those above ground greens, not having enough of those green vegetables, which leads me into biotin. Biotin, as you know, is one of those things you get in a prenatal vitamin. If you've been pregnant or taken a prenatal vitamin, you know, your hair goes crazy because it has those extra B vitamins, has extra biotin, extra folic and folic acid, folate. Maybe you have a methylation issue where your body doesn't transfer that over, or you're not getting enough B vitamins from your above ground greens, or maybe you're not eating liver once a month or twice a month. That is me. I don't eat liver. I take a supplement. I'm going to be super honest. I do not want to eat liver. Sorry about that. But if you're not eating enough of those green vitamins, those leafy greens is where you get those lovely B vitamins. Biotin comes from cauliflower, arugula, egg yolks. Yes, egg yolks are good for you. Choline and inositol are found in those, which are super important for brain health. Avocados, salmon, all those have good biotin in them. People with alopecia are found to have, and alopecia is can be a genetic syndrome or a disease, or just one of those genetic things that are passed along. It's not necessarily a disease where people just lose their hair. It can happen on the onset of puberty, it can happen during childhood, but people just lose all their hair follicles. So it's called alopecia, and so people just don't have the ability, once their hair is gone, it just happens. It's a DNA trigger, generally onset by stress, or again by puberty. They lose their hair, in eyebrows and arm hair and all their hair. But we're not talking about those people, but generally a stressful event will trigger alopecia to be onset on. We also know that if you're not getting enough essential nutrients, so say you go on a keto, low carb, carnivore diet and you have an amazing success, you were over 50% BMI, you started at 400 pounds and now you're down to 180, you're at your perfect weight, 20% BMI, you feel amazing. But what happens is when you dump all that fat and get all that fat and unwanted weight off your body, each fat cell has 170 different hormones. When you're losing that unwanted fat, you're also losing those essential nutrients. That's why it's always so important every 25 or 30 pounds to have your doctor check a CBC, or have them just check your nutrient panels. A comprehensive metabolic panel, a CMP, is going to be your magnesium, your potassium, your sodium, your chloride. Check all your buffering minerals, check your magnesium, check your B vitamins, your folic acid. You'll lose those essential nutrients along with the fat. There's no way for your body to say, I'm only going to lose the fat, I'm not going to lose any of these other nutrients. Those all come out with you. That's why while I'm fasting, I'm having electrolytes, I'm having a bone broth, and bone broth we'll talk about in just a minute because we'll talk about collagen. But because since I'm not consuming many calories on my 60+ hour fast that I do one time a month to reset my metabolism, let my GI system rest, I'm saying, why is my son driving around with something in the back of his truck? So sorry, I'm just like squirrel, right? Sorry about that. So not enough calories, or again, losing too much fat too quickly without rechecking in between to saying, hey, have I lost some essential nutrients? Why am I losing hair? And this happens all the time. It also can reset your body's hormones, because the stress on your body at 400 pounds versus 180 pounds is a whole different hormone cycle when your body's resetting all its glucose and glycogen. So maybe you have a leaky gut system. Maybe you've got some food allergies. Maybe you have some stress at onset ulcerative colitis or eosinophilia esophagitis, or maybe again some hidden food allergies or leaky gut where you don't actually absorb them. You don't have enough hydrochloric acid in your stomach, where those parietal cells don't turn on the acid to break down the proteins, to pull the amino acids so the small intestine can absorb them. Then you get something called leaky gut. Instead of your junctions being nice and tight, they get apart. Think of it just like your teeth. If you get gaps inside your teeth and you get sugar or things that fall down there, you get cavities. That can also happen in the villi of your gut. Then you don't absorb the nutrients that you need. And if you're not absorbing them, then you're not going to make things like hair or nails or nice dentin on your teeth or things that your body needs. So you can also have a leaky gut situation, and you would already have known this. You would have, maybe been diagnosed with IBS, or you're a person who says, I have a finicky stomach, I have a little bit of GERD, I've been taking this for that, I've been taking some over-the-counter stuff, I've had kind of that finicky stomach for a long time, I don't tolerate this well or don't tolerate that well. So you're going to know you've got a leaky gut. So just put one more thing on top, a little bit of stress, or just change a little bit of your lifestyle, and that could be enough. I mean, lifestyle change could be changing jobs, changing houses, adopting a dog, getting something like that. Any little bit of stress, whether it's positive or negative, your body still sees it as stress, and it's just enough to push it over the edge. Also, hormonal changes. As you go through the change of life, it can happen, because we know that, just think about that, when you're pregnant, your hair grows really, really fast. And as girls and male and females go through puberty, we know that we get that secondary characteristic of hair growth. We know as we age, as we go through the other stage of life, andropause and menopause in male and female, we start to lose some hair, or women can get some hair in places they don't want. So we know that hormone imbalances, or if you're taking synthetic hormones or HRTs, or if you're prematurely, you go through menopause, or if you've had testicular cancer, if you've had something removed, any type of hormonal changes can cause hair loss as well, but that's going to be a lot of a big stressful situation. Also, if your body's exposed to heavy metals, maybe you work in a nail salon, maybe you work on the street, or you're exposed to different type of elements in whatever job you're doing, your body will breathe those heavy metals in. They will actually get attached to the hair follicle. So we do heavy metal testing at our office, or hair analysis testing, because your body will dump those into the follicles of the hair to dump them to get them out, because they know it's going to grow out. So the healthy hair, as you know, is right here at the follicles. You can see there's no coloring right there. That's that healthy hair, and you do want to give it a tug, and brushing it is healthy because it challenges your hair to do that, where at the end of the hair, that's where that dead hair kind of is. That's why it's good to stimulate the hair and get those ends cut off, like, every so often, to stimulate the body to produce more hair and more hair follicles. This is where it's more brittle, and this is where we see where over coloring can be bad, male or female. Over processing can be bad, male or female. So you want to make sure that you're using, and that leads into my next one. So hormonal imbalance, that over processing using unnatural products, and Lori's going to talk us more about paraffins and things that others supposed to. But think about what you wash your sheets in. Maybe you've washed your sheets, and I have a whole nother YouTube video on natural cleansers and natural detergents. We spend half of our life in our clothes or on our bedding. So if your head's on your pillow and your detergent has things that are toxic to your body, and your hair's laying on that and it's exposed to heavy metals and other things that I don't even want to pronounce the big fluorocarbon names of them, that can actually leach into your hair. It can leach into your scalp. We know that there's a lot of detrimental things that can happen. So make sure you're checking your laundry detergent. Also, get rid of the pillow if you've had it for more than a couple months. Dust mites can get in there. It can cause a big issue as well. That can cause different types of issues. You can also get systemic yeast infections as you start to lose weight on a ketogenic low carb diet, or if you have heavy sugar cravings, psoriasis, or things like that. That's all candida albicans. As you get the dye off, it's actually going to get rid of the hair, which is actually a positive thing. So sometimes losing hair can be a very positive thing, because the body's getting rid of that old dead stuff. Just like when people do skin scraping and skin rubbing, dry skin brushing, you get rid of the old skin, you get rid of the old dead hair, your body gets rid of it and makes new hair follicle, that follicle to grow new hair to come through. If that old dead hair is still in that follicle, you're not going to get the new growth coming in. So that can be a very positive thing. If you're shedding quickly over a time where your body is getting healing, your body's going through a healing crisis, it's getting rid of whether it's parasites, or it's getting rid of some gut yeast or some other type of things your body's been exposed to, and it's getting rid of those heavy metals and parasites, your body's going to push out those old hair follicles, and you're going to get new ones coming in. For men and for women will see this underneath their arms or their legs. Men are going to see it probably on their facial hair first, like they're having to shave more, or they're noticing they shave in the morning, by noon you want to shave again. So look at those exposures that you're exposed to, and those things again can be measured through a Melissa test, is a blood test, or you can do a hair analysis test. But do just look at things that you are exposed to on a day-to-day basis. Also, different pharmaceuticals can interfere with your gut digestion. Things like protein pump inhibitors, things like statins, all those different things that can interfere with your gut digestion and alter the pH of your stomach and the way your stomach breaks down foods and the way your body absorbs food. Or having a gastric sleeve or gastric bypass and chopping off part of your stomach, which is so important for your body to absorb things like those B vitamins and that biotin. Those can also affect your absorption, ultimately coming in hair loss. The second thing, besides protein, your body needs collagen for hair. So collagen, if you are not having collagen in your diet, those healthy fats, we talked about when those macronutrients that your body needs, macronutrients are things like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Well, collagen is going to come from fats. It's the ligaments that come from chicken feed and from pig's feet and from oxtail. You can also buy powdered collagen. Just make sure it's a very high quality. I have my bone broth here. Bone broth is called liquid gold. It's that stuff on the top that's really gelatinous, or it's also called God's Gatorade because it has all those specific nutrients in there. You know, in the olden days, people used to boil all the bones. And people still do it today. Not the olden days. We still do it at the carton house. Boil all the bones, but when we're busy, we buy a very high quality of bone broth that we can just reconstitute with water. So we can use that actually to make sure we're getting the collagen that we need in. I also use a functional fat that's got 4 different types of collagen for not only for hair, but also for elasticity of my skin, for my internal organs, for my eyeballs, because they're also held in place, you know, for your heart, for all those different organs, joint health, bone health, all those things need good, healthy collagen. So you want to make sure that you are getting collagen in your diet on a routine and daily basis. And the last one is just make sure that you're supporting your stomach, you're getting your blood supply, so whether it's a prebiotic, a probiotic, a digestive enzyme. If you know that your bowels are not normal, they're not coming out as a lot of people describe, that they're not brown, if they're different colors, if they're not coming out formed, and they're not coming out once or at least twice a day, then you need to get with a healthcare provider, because that's your first clue that something's off with digestion. If you're craving salty all the time, if you're craving sweet all the time, that's another clue that something's off in your digestion. If you smell like you brush your teeth and your mouth has an odor to it, or if your tongue is white and pasty, or if you have ridges along your tongue, or if you have a fissure down your tongue, that's another clue something's off in your digestion, plus your hair falling out. So there's lots of little clues that you can look at yourself. Patches on your skin like psoriasis or eczema, or again, your feet smell. People are like, woo, but we know whose shoes those are, socks or those are. That's another clue something is off in your digestive tract. Your skin is your largest organ. It is one of your routes of elimination. So when it is not smelling right, even when you just showered, or your feet are smelling, or your armpits are smelling, or the toilet is smelling, whether it's number 1 or number 2, and your hair is shedding and you're losing hair, there's something out of balance in your gut. So a comprehensive stool analysis can be a really good clue of what's going on in your gut. But start being your own detective. Start writing down, what was it that I started noticing when my hair first started falling out? Was I also having hormonal changes? Did I start a new prescription? Did I add in a bunch of peanuts and almonds? Did I start cooking with a whole bunch of almond flour? Did I start doing a whole bunch of hard cheeses or dairy? Did I start, my kombucha, my fermented journey, and fermenting a whole bunch of foods? Was that the journey that now I'm bloating and having a ton more gas than I used to have? So start being your detective and start journaling your journey, and you're going to start getting some of those answers coming your way. Again, or maybe you don't know if you've really cut your calories too much. Just use a simple little calculator. Use Carb Tracker, My Carb Tracker, or MyFitnessPal, and just see really how many calories that you are eating, because people can be fasting too much and too often because they really want those results, but at what cost? So at what cost? Again, it can be a good thing that your hair is falling out, but it shouldn't happen very often, like one time in your life or maybe twice in your life, if you're really eradicating and working with the healthcare provider to get rid of that candida. So I hope that I've really answered most of the questions that I have gotten. Lori will join us, and she's going to talk more about what to look for in hair products when you're putting hair products on your hair, just daily shampoos, how often. I know in the US, I've been over to Europe before, people can't believe that we shampoo our hair once and twice a day. We use a blow dryer, we use hot curling iron straight on there, we use hairsprays, we use dry shampoos. There's a whole bunch of stuff that is very, very flammable and toxic that we put on our hair, and it's no wonder that it breaks off and doesn't grow. And again, the number one reason for hair loss is stress. So we could have a whole series of how we can calm down our body, how we can eliminate stress. We know that we can't control what happens in the world, but we can control how we react to what happens in the world, or how we react to people around us. So I just challenge you to join us in the next, we're on day 6 of our random act of kindness, which can just be, because what happens is when you do a kind deed to a person, even if you wave at them and they don't wave back. So if I wave at BJ and she doesn't wave slave backer. She sends me a little virtual flower, but doesn't send it back. My dopamine is still released, which is my happy hormone, which is stored in my brain. My serotonin is another happy hormone that's stored in my gut. I still release all those really good feeling and happy hormones, which help calm down my body, which help de-stress my body. We talked about receiving flowers. We talked about massage. We talked about even the human touch, a chiropractic adjustment, balancing out acupuncture. Ketones calm down the nervous system. So a fast can be a great thing to do, as Vicky's sharing right now that she is actually doing a fast. And again, you don't need to do it for a very long period of time. If you do it more than 72 hours, make sure that you have your blood work checked, metabolically you check with your healthcare provider. But again, this is Dr. Heather Cardin. Thanks as always for your amazing, amazing questions. Make sure you do check with your healthcare provider. And all of these points do apply to anybody who's on any lifestyle journey. It's not just a keto journey, but that's the questions that I always get. It can be when you're switching to a vegan journey or to a vegetarian journey, or if you're going to a carbitarian journey or a carnivore journey, because we know that we have essential fatty acids. We have essential amino acids. Essential means necessary for life. There is no essential carbohydrates. So when you're looking, I'm sorry, someone's trying to call. So we know that when you're looking at your macros, the one thing that you can just forget to count sometimes, or forget to even just consume, is carbohydrates, because they are non-essential for your body. But you do need anywhere from 4 to 6 cups of above ground leafy greens every single day. Thanks again for joining me. Tomorrow or the next day, we're going to do the tiny little steps of getting started and getting back to the basics and things to look for as you make those changes into a new lifestyle, and making those changes very easy in 3 simple steps. I want to congratulate everybody who just completed our 10-day keto kickstart, and I want to welcome everybody who is on day 1 of our 60-hour keto reboot. Congratulations to all you guys. If you're doing the reboot, put a cowboy boot down below. If you're brand new to Ask Dr. Heather, drop a 1. I want to make sure I give you a nice big warm welcome. Tomorrow night we are doing a virtual keto 101. We do have an invite page through Facebook, so if you want to join that virtual keto 101, let me know. Just put 101 down below so you can join us. We're just going to talk about keto 101, what ketones are, what they are not, what the difference between ketogenesis is, what the difference between exogenous ketones are, what they are and what they are not, and what the difference is happening inside your body. You guys have a blessed day, and I hope that everybody joins us in the amazing kindness journey, kindness challenge that goes on until November 14th, which is World Kindness Day. You guys have an amazing day. Shelly, thanks for the boot. Good luck on your reboot, and we'll see you guys later.